Hi everyone, and welcome to episode 329 at Mike White's podcast. I'm Jack, as always, joined by Casey.
Now then,
How's things, mate?
yeah, not bad. You?
Yeah, all good. Bit knackered, but other than that, fine. Still a bit pissed off that we didn't get anything at the weekend. It was the early kickoff on Saturday. It's Tuesday. I really shouldn't still be slightly annoyed.
Yeah, but it's Spurs, and they weren't great. And we
No,
did create chances.
no, I mean we were worth at least a point, weren't we? Like the XG was like 2 for Leeds and 0.6 Spurs, but I think that's a little bit thrown off. Because obviously, like Leeds' goal, Okafor's a tap in, that'll have been, 0.8, and Aronson's shot that led to it will have been 0.1. So, like, just that move bumps up a bit. But I think we were definitely worth at least a point.
Yeah, it's kind of the concern, and I think some of it has been dispelled in the last couple of games that we do have the ability to create chances and score goals.
Well, we definitely have the ability to create chances.
Yeah. But I mean, these last three games we've averaged 2 goals a game, which is fine.
It's
But
actively good, in fact.
yeah, but yeah, it very much shows in these sorts of games that you do have to take chance. I mean, you mentioned the XG there. The XG also won't factor in at all. That cross that goes in that nobody gets on the end of that.
Yeah, the stack one.
Yeah, that
To be
absolutely
fair
should
to
have
them,
been goal.
to be fair, Spurs had a couple of them as well,
Hmm.
where they got into a really good position and didn't get the pass right. That's why it can be a bit off on the thing, but it's not the worst indicator of a long period. It was very annoying to concede those goals because they were both very soft goals to give away, and they're both sort of, although it's not the exact same thing. Like one's a bad touch in midfield, one's a ball forward to Goodmanson that he sort of doesn't deal with and kind of makes a mess of and then falls over.
Hmm.
Like two sloppy bits of work with the ball leads to someone bearing down on goal. There is an argument whether Strauch should go to the ball earlier or whether he's right to back off. And I have seen either way that argued. I don't think it was really a mistake because he gets a block on both of them. It's just unfortunate that both of those blocks deflect into a goal.
Yeah, it's yeah, I think it's a bit harsh. I mean, the first one, I think he very much cuts off the angle for the shot. Um, in the ground, didn't really see how big of a deflection it takes, and I think it
Yeah,
essentially goes from it's going low to looping it high, sort of into the top towards the top corner.
yeah. I think
Um,
when I saw it back on TV, one, the deflection was quite big. I still think, having seen it back in the ground, I was like basically going, I'm going to have to wait and see how bad that deflection was. Darlow's hand is close enough to it, but I bet Darlow thinks I maybe could have got that one.
hmm.
But I'm not like, I couldn't call it an error by any stretch. The second one is absolutely no chance.
Yeah, the second one is a very big deflection.
Yeah.
That just sends it the other way. But yeah, I think with the first one you've got it's Strauch and Goodmanson that are both there, so they basically cut off the option to pull it back or to fire across goal. So I do think they kind of minimise the shooting area he's got, and yeah, I just think they get unlucky with the deflection.
Mm. Yeah, that is one of those things that just happens in games, and it's when it happens twice in one game that you really feel crap about it.
Mm.
But like overall, I thought that like our midfield did as well as theirs, considering how good their players are. I thought all over the pitch we looked as good as they did, and that. I mean, I think like Vicario is a better goalkeeper than Darlow, but you couldn't have necessarily told that from that game itself.
Yeah, I mean there was a couple of times as well. I think just going through some of the chances. You've got sort of Joe Rodon's header's probably the first big chance that comes off the post.
Yeah, that was another one where in the ground, I wasn't sure how tight that angle was.
Mm.
And then I saw it back on TV, and there's just plenty of room. Like,
yeah, I don't know. For me, the only thing is kind of the speed with which it's coming, but yeah, it's one of those where I thought in the ground, like you said, I thought it was a lot tighter than it probably was.
yeah,
Looking
it's
back at it,
again, if you ask Joe Roden will think he should have scored that because the keeper's so out of position. It is just get it on target.
That's not fair though. I think Joe Roden thinks he should get absolutely everything right every single time.
Yeah, it's probably why he's a good footballer.
Yeah,
That's the way he thinks. But yeah, I mean, it is something to point out that since Longstaff started taking set pieces, I mean, backing Joe Roden two or more shots appears to be a bet now.
yeah.
Because
Finally,
he's getting on the end of everything.
finally we found someone who can hit a centre back with a corner. It's quite nice actually.
Mm.
Yeah, we didn't even need the big lads really. Stack aside, we didn't really need the other big ones, but yeah, that was a good. I thought that was a good chance, and then I'm trying to think what else we had during the first half.
Well, the biggest one in the first half of the missed chances. Was it Okafor that won the ball really high up to just give it to Calvert-Lewin in the box?
Oh yeah,
Get it out your feet, hit it, and he takes like 4 touches, gets closed down, panics, slides, and like spoons it over the bar. It was a proper striker with no confidence in front of goal moment. Like he had
yeah,
so much time and he wasted all of it before he hit it.
yeah,
Again, in a game where he was excellent at everything else.
yeah. It's like you say, it just needed that first touch, get it a couple of steps in front of you, and then sort of just try and put it in the far corner.
Yeah.
That was an odd one because I thought Spurs, when they played out from the goal kick, they played to the right hand side every single time.
Yeah.
At no point did they ever think about switching sides, and we did have a bit of joy, kind of pinning them in there a little bit.
Yeah, there was like a 5 to 10 minute period where we really boxed them in and they couldn't get out, which we haven't really seen in the Premier League that much because we haven't been playing like that.
Yeah, it would just be this typical thing of sort of out to. He always went out to Pedro Porro, who would either look for Christian Romero or to try and find the centre mid. But yeah, we seem to, like you say, have a good period there of kind of keeping them in that area, in that sort of section of the field. The problem was the times they did break out, all of a sudden the speed with which they went forward. You were just because I think I said to you in the second half, like we were going, they were essentially leaving 4 up, and we were going man for man. And you were just looking at kind of the pace on some of the players they were leaving for, and you went, "Oh, if one of their centre mids breaks out, we're in trouble here."
Yeah. I mean, obviously, I said all over the pitch, I thought we looked as good as they did. The exception was Mohamed Kudus. He's a serious footballer. There was some bits where I think that we defended him badly because I don't care how good a dribbler you are and how strong you are on the ball and all of that stuff. If you're on the floor and there's 3 Leeds players around you, the Leeds players should win the ball. If you don't win the ball in that situation, that's bad defending. But every time he got the ball, he looked scary. And the annoying thing is that he stood out miles for him, and I thought 90% of the time Goodmanson did brilliant against him. Unfortunately, like the one time that he really didn't led to a goal.
Yeah, I mean that Spurs hit, and you could probably say this since Harry Kane left, is almost feels like it's still trying to figure out what it is, and I think that's because of the managerial change as well. But they made a lot of changes from their team midweek, where you kind of seen like Bergval's started most games.
Tell playing instead of Richarlison was the one that really surprised me. And I know he scored, but Richarlison is just at the moment a bit. Tell might become better, but I thought Richarlison would have given us more trouble than Tell, which is weird to say given the goal and everything.
Yeah, I mean Richarlison started the season quite well for him because I know it's been a bit of the move to Spurs is, you wouldn't have called it a success so far. for all the money they spent on a second choice striker who then started the season well, and they've still actively looked to buy or to get in another centre forward. But the depth they've got at the moment, and even when you're aware that there's players like Maddison who are out, and you just look at that squad, it's one of those teams. If they get it together, it probably should be up there. But
yeah, definitely.
there's
And
something
they've
in
also
that
got
Tottenham
loads.
DNA.
Yeah, they've also got loads of very good players that are young as well. Like, I mean, I thought of their players that started. I thought the one that stood out, like that looked not as good, was Odebear, and I do think he's a good player from what I've seen previously, but he didn't stand up. But like, Tell is young, Kudus is still fairly young. I think he's like 24, 25. Brennan Johnson's still old. Javi Simmons is young. Like Spence is still young. Pat Matassar's young. Then Archie Gray, Bergval. It could be a really good team. And now that they seem to have a coach that is a lot more suited to where they are and the Premier League, they'll probably kick on. I mean, aren't they like second in league or something now? I know it's early days, so you can't really read out into it. But
Yeah, I mean, obviously,
the third, sorry.
because before us, obviously, they'd had the late equaliser to get a point against Wolves.
Yeah. They'll be fuming because they conceded one against Brighton as well, didn't they? Like,
yeah.
Very late on.
But like getting Paulinho in, I think, has been a good signing for them as well. It's, I always quite liked him at Fulham. I don't know, it's not worked out for him at Bayern, but when you kind of go through that list of young players they've got there, getting someone like him in is probably been, I think, a very good call for them.
Yeah. And then, yeah, you look at that bench, you look down it, and then there's just Ben Davies with the "How do you do, fellow kids?"
I've been here for over 30 years.
Yeah, but like we were saying before, the missed chances is definitely the story of like the last couple of weeks. Because even though we scored a couple against Bournemouth, there was missed chances in that. In this, Calvert-Lewin had another one in the second half that wasn't a very good finish. Piru has the one late on, which is, to be honest, it's a decent hit, but it's not the cleanest strike in the world. It's a decent save. And unfortunately, you do have that worry where you're coming away from games going, yeah, we've played well there, and it's early enough in the season that you can start thinking, yeah, good performances. If we keep playing like that, we'll be okay. But we're back down to that old familiar foe of 15th.
At some point, do you then become Luton and Ipswich? Where it's like, we've played well, we've competed, and we've just slipped up in the last minute here, or we've not taken that chance there. But like you say, the longer that goes on, you just think, geez, it's that thing of, if we kind of go through this run of games now of you beat Wolves, who you should have beaten, good point against Bournemouth, not sort of withstanding the performance, but in terms of looking at the last three games we've played and the two upcoming, 4 points from those three games, probably not the worst return.
No.
And then if you'd
been offered it before the 3 games started, you'd have probably said, yeah, fair enough.
Yeah. The West Ham one is probably a more difficult one now that Nuno's there.
It is, but because it's at home.
Yeah.
You've got to be looking to win that one. These next 2 games are enormous.
Yeah, like if you can get, I mean, I dare to dream and have a Connie moment here, but if you can get 6 points from the next 2 games, which is doable.
Yeah.
It's Burnley who, Jadon Anthony aside, I'm not massively impressed by. I think it's a traditional Scott Parker in the Premier League team.
Yeah.
And then, West Ham at home.
West Ham, I'm just hoping they're not good by now, because I do look at that West Ham squad and now they've got a good manager and think it's not a bad. It's a good team. That they're not great at the back, but any team that's got like Fulkrug up front with Bowen and Somerville on the wings, I fail to see how that can be a shit team.
Yeah, I mean, not so much the last game, but the game before. Somerville sounded like he was coming out of that one as one of their better performers.
Mm.
So, yeah, you've just got to hope that you're picking up points in the games you should be doing, and competing in the others. Because I think is it after those 2 games we've then got that horrible run of 3 where it's like Liverpool, Chelsea, Man City, or something like that.
I haven't. I've had so much just focus on the next 2 games that I'm not even sure.
Because I know it's coming. It's there.
Yeah. Rest of October is Burnley and West Ham, which is massive. But in November, Brighton away, Forest away, Villa at home, Man City away.
There it is. Yeah, so after it's kind of
December.
After that run, it's
December
Man
when
City,
it gets really
Chelsea, Liverpool, and then you know what? Throw Brentford in there because it's in London as well.
Yeah.
So it's
these next 2 games are massive.
That and throw Forest in there as well as looking at how they've gone since Ange.
Well, because I mean, Forest. That's what, the 9th of November. I mean, it depends. I don't know who the manager is going to be by then, but it's probably not going to be Postecoglou. So, so I've no idea what to think about that. From the game itself, obviously, we said we were fine. There was one very, very, very weird thing that the entire crowd was getting annoyed at, which includes us. Leeds' big plan that was working was knocking balls up to Calvert-Lewin, going after the second ball. It was working. It was getting us up the pitch. It was getting us into good areas. It was working so well that when we were chasing the game, everyone in the stand, me included, was like, get Metcha on as well. Just let's play this way. And he brings on Metcha, puts Peru at 10 behind him. We've got basically a functioning front 3, someone buzzing in around who can finish for if someone gets knocked down to him. We play 2 massive lads up top and then proceed to not hit a long ball for 10 minutes. We basically we waited until Thomas Frank brought on Kevin Danso, and they went to a back 3 so that they no longer were struggling for numbers, and that's when we started knocking the ball forward. It was one of the most counterintuitive bits of football I've ever seen in my life, and I don't know if it's because Farke's brought on the big lads and then told them to play it short, or if the players just completely ignored what Farke was doing. But either way, it was shit.
Yeah, the idea that you've then put Calvert-Lewin, who the one very good thing I can say about him in these last 3 games is he wins so many of those long balls.
I don't think I've ever seen someone jump as high.
Yeah, he's got that fantastic hang time. He's got a very good first touch when it's in the air, so has the ability to bring it down as well. And like you say, the problem seemed to be one that we're not playing long balls while we've got 3 strikers on. Okay, Jayden Bogle seemed to then forget how to hit a cross.
Jayden Bogle was really good for 70 minutes and then had 10 minutes of really weird.
But I think the other aspect to it, because we brought Harrison on for Brendan Aronson, who in the second half, his decision making was peak Aronson. First half, I thought he actually did quite well. It was very much typical Brendan. Won the ball back in some very good areas, got his head up, ran a little bit, lost the ball. So I'm not a massive fan of Jack Harrison on the right, but that's kind of the option we have at the moment with the injuries.
Yeah.
We then go to the back 3. Ampadu drops in. Jack Harrison goes to left wing back. Because it was Okafor and Goodmanson that came off, wasn't it, for Peru and Metcha?
When that one happened, yes, it was.
So I think we've also got Tanaka's in the middle at this point as well.
Yeah, that was the first 2 subs were Harrison for Aronson and Tanaka for Stack. And then you had Peru for Okafor, Metcha for Goodmanson, and then James Justin for Jayden Bogle right at the end, which was... Yeah. I understood because Bogle had just had that really weird 10 minutes where he just went all over the shop. But it was odd because Bogle, he's good in attacking areas and has a lot of quality on the ball. It was an odd time to make that sub.
Yeah. I think we then got into this habit of a lot of passing around the back 3, give it to a centre mid, drop it back to a centre back. It would occasionally go to one of your wing backs who would set off, but then because of the system now, there is no one overlapping. So they ended up quite isolated.
Weirdly, the couple of balls in that did happen were Ampadu.
Yeah,
like stepping forward from sort of right centre back ish.
Yeah, I mean, you ended up with, like you said, Harrison had a few as well of just crosses from deep that didn't go anywhere near anyone, either went out or easy for Vicario.
Yeah, I'm not like having a massive go or anything, but to be honest, I thought Jack Harrison barely did a thing right when he came on.
No, it was not a good game for him.
And his previous sub appearances have been pretty good, so like just one of them days.
But yeah, just the fact that there wasn't even a desperation. You know what? Drop it back to Darlow. Let him send it forward.
Yeah.
It was classic Ampadu, Rodenstraut getting loads of touches into Tanaka. Tanaka dropped it back.
It was if they just didn't know what they were. They didn't know the plan.
Yeah, which is frustrating because, I mean, I wasn't there at ground level, but I could see who was coming on and I knew what the plan was.
Yeah. I mean, we called and not just us, everyone in the ground that we could hear called the plan before it happened. So our players didn't know.
Look,
like Ali's in the comments saying the DCL knockdown for Peru showed it has merits, but as I say, we forgot to put balls to them or take shots.
Yeah,
and I mean that's true. We just did for like 10 minutes. It was weird.
Yeah, I think towards the end you've got, obviously, like you said there's the Peru chance where I think he's probably a little over the top of it for that strike, but I think he does well with it for how it's come down to him, and forces the save. There's that long staff effort that goes just wide.
Yeah, he struck that really well. I'm not sure how far wide that was because we were on the wrong side to see quite how wide it was, but he struck it really well.
But yeah, Spurs were pretty comfortable just seeing that out at that point. Like we just became very toothless with it, and I think it was the frustrations of, although there were individuals who weren't playing that well, the system itself was working through that game.
Yeah.
Whether you then wanted to change and go, let's sacrifice a centre mid, let's go 4-4-2. I'd have got that.
We all know Farke's not going 4-4-2. Not when 3-1 fuck it is available.
Yeah,
this was more 3-3 fuck it, I think. But
yeah, it just didn't work, and it took out any element of threat we had. And I think it's that, and again, it's that sort of thing of. I mean, I said to you, I don't ever remember it really working that well in the Championship either. But against better teams, just throwing players forward.
Yeah. It worked once. That Norwich away game where we were 2 down and won 3-2. That was the one time where it really worked, but the rest of it didn't. But this one, as I say, like Spurs are a good team. It's a game going in. I was going to say it's a game that you expect to lose, but we're on about the bookies odds beforehand. Leeds were 13-8, Spurs were 13-8. So I can't say, it's a game that you're expecting to lose, because even though I ended up going for a draw in the predictions, but like it appears that it was Leeds pessimism compared to the world, because the world seemed to think we'd have a decent chance of getting somewhere. And as shitty as it is the first time we've lost a home league game since like August last year. It was going to happen at some point. Was there anyone in particular that stood out as good for you? Like I thought Okafor was really. I liked what I saw out of Okafor in the first half. Second half a bit less so, but I thought he was really good. And he just always looks, even the times where he messes it up or like trips over the ball going for a dribble, he looks our biggest threat.
Sorry, I've just reminded me of the time he beat the fullback and then just passed it straight out. That was wonderful. That was wonderful. I get the feeling, having watched him these last couple of games, that Sean Longstaff is always going to be quite highly up there for if nothing else, he is a very busy boy who makes some good tackles. It's been quite nice to see him have a couple of efforts as well. I'm just trying to think. I thought Joe Roden had another very good game.
Yeah.
I think he's one of the players I'm probably the most. I don't know if surprised is the word, but since we've come up, I don't think he's looked out of place at all in the Premier League.
No, I mean, it says a lot that although there has been a lot of calls for Beal to come in, at no point has anyone been saying for Roden.
No, and I think obviously it would have been very nice for him to score, given that's where he was previously.
Do you know what? I didn't even think about that.
Yeah,
But that's where we bought him
you
from.
just think of him as we bought him from Wales.
No, I had like Swansea as a kid, Wales, Leeds.
Yeah, and like you say, outside of finishing, Dominic Calvert-Lewin has played very well these few games.
Again, Ali just saying Calvert-Lewin, old-fashioned striker. There's a reason they played in the two to get knockdowns of each other. But when they didn't, Longstaff was the one and I would say Aronson as well, were trying their best to get into those positions. Weirdly, we actually had people in better positions for knockdowns when we had fewer people up front, which was a weird situation to be in.
Yeah, I mean, watching as the season, it's been nice to see Longstaff as high up the pitch as he has been, because I kind of thought he might end up as a second holding mid, almost, knowing Farke's cautious tendencies. So we've sort of been playing with two. He's probably been the more box to box midfielder, which I thought would have been Stack.
Yeah, because when Ampadu's fit, it's him that sits.
Yeah. But yeah, there's no one I'm looking at from either from the Spurs game or from kind of the team from the last few games where I think desperately needs dropping outside of I don't know what you do with Brendan Aronson.
Yeah, well, I've made a note of that earlier. Just like with it being Burnley, which is one of the games where you'd expect us to actually have a decent amount of the ball, be in a position to really attack. It sounds like he was like back on the grass but not ready to go. Do you think that we might see Nonto for Aronson, or do you think it might just be Harrison, or do you think it'll just be Brendan?
I think it'll be Brendan Aronson because I think Daniel Parker loves him. I think if you're a coach, you love having that on the pitch, because I think even with the lack of or the inconsistent end products, I'll say, with him, that he does still get into decent positions. He does win the ball in good areas of the pitch. He can score. I've seen it and everything.
Have you seen it in the Premier League though, other than once from a yard after he tackled the goalkeeper?
You say tackled. It's more a block.
Yeah.
Yeah, fair. But you do have to give credit to him. It was his effort that led to the Okafor goal.
Yeah.
With a beach ball on the pitch as well, which did concern
Which
me.
I did not see in real time.
Did you not see the beach ball?
No. But the guy to my left said, "I'm scared VAR's gonna have something to say about
No,
this."
that was me.
No, I think you both did. As did the guy behind me. Everyone else saw it. I never saw it.
Because the concern I had was because I didn't realise it was a beach ball at first, because we'd already had in the first half with the wind, one of the cones blew over and a ball blew on the pitch. So I thought it was actually one of the match balls that had rolled on.
Yeah.
And I was genuinely concerned that they were going to go, well, there was two balls on the pitch, so we are going to have to chalk that off.
Yeah.
Even though it made absolutely naff all difference.
Yeah. Luckily, if it had been 3 yards to the right, it might have started to get away, but luckily it was just out of the way. But yeah, in real time in the ground, I never saw it. I was so busy just focusing on the ball. I never even noticed it.
Yeah. But no, I think regardless of kind of fitness, I think this team probably stays the same for a little while because especially if you listen to Fark's press conferences, I think he's very happy with this team at the moment.
And I can't blame him for being happy with it, to be honest, given the performances. Like, what is it? Is it 4 games in a row we've picked the same team now?
Yeah, I think so. It's all post Arsenal, isn't it? Really?
Yeah. Like, there's a few things because of who we're playing, because it's Burnley, and I think you need to try and win that game. I would like to see Nonto Aronson, but I don't think we will. You could make an argument for Tanaka coming back into the midfield, but I don't think he will. If Perry's fit, I think he should come back in. Not because Darlow's done it wrong, but if that's first choice goalkeeper, you pick him.
Yeah.
The one that's I think the most arguable is, depending on how international break goes, is Biol for Strauch. Now I like Strauch, but it's a bit weird that Biol isn't getting any football at all. And given the sort of type of defender he is, I think he's less likely to. I think that we are more likely to keep clean sheets with Biol than Strauch, even though I like Strauch. But I haven't really got the evidence to properly know yet because we don't get to see him.
Yeah, I know with Farker he does have. I do think he has. I could say he has trust issues in as much as he can see a single performance and go, "Oh, I don't know about him."
Yeah.
And I do wonder if that Chef Wednesday performance has given him some nightmares about his other defenders that he has to choose from.
Yeah, given what we saw in that game, you'll notice I'm not saying maybe Bornau. No.
Yeah.
And that's from. I know that he just doesn't do this, but God, I would so have played him in a couple of 21s games.
As I've looked through this, because I get the Google notifications every time the 21s play, and I do think it's the norm that the majority of teams just don't play first team players
Yeah.
in the 21s. Now me here with my FA coaching badges and my love of Football Manager.
Right click, make available for 21s.
Yeah, just the one match, just for a single match. I'm not going to leave. I'm not a madman. I've never set someone as constantly available.
Oh, I.
Are you the person that sets the under 21s all to play, like the first team players to play the 21s for fitness?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. No, I'm a case by case basis.
No, and I'll sometimes forget to take it off, and it'll get to match day, and my winger's injured, and the other winger played the day before. Oh shit!
But yeah, it does seem strange to me. And yes, I appreciate you've only got a limited number of slots now. That old man Johnny's there in the middle of midfield, playing with playing with some fellow children. But yeah, it does seem odd that you have, Bornau be all outside of that League Cup game. We don't really see anything of them. I'm trying to think who else is kind of on the, Joel Peru, probably could have done with a half in there somewhere because he's kind of dropped down to third in the pecking order.
Yeah,
You've got these,
know that.
Alex
I know it's a Bielsa
Cairns.
thing.
But yeah, whenever I look at the opposition teams, it does seem to be the case that we just play under 21 players, and that's it. But yeah, it does mean that should a time come, if and when Pascal Strout gets injured, you've got someone who's coming in who's not played a lot of football.
Yeah, I know that it was a Bielsa thing, but I failed to see the downside of giving them, even if you like putting them on the bench for the 21s, just so they get, and then giving them half an hour. I don't see how it can hurt. I've just checked, and provided that the thing I saw is up to date, you can have 3 overage players in your team.
But I believe
not
that's the case.
including the goalkeeper, which can be whoever.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, just like obviously Housen will be one of them. But there's no reason not to give Be-all 45 minutes in a game just to keep his legs up. Maybe ball now the week after.
I mean, you've got
James
now
James Justin has come in and played about 7 minutes.
James Justin, Ilya Gruev is despite playing nearly every minute of preseason, is sort of your fifth choice centre mid at this point. I don't think it. Like you say, I completely agree. I think it's a good idea to have these players get, even if it's just even if it's half an hour, just a bit of actual football in them.
Yeah, because that was Bielsa's thing when he wanted more half an hour, he'd start them and they'd just get subbed after half an hour, wouldn't they?
Yes, Bielsa and the famous pre-arranged substitutions.
Yeah.
like the FA Cup games, just go, no, I don't care what the score is. They're all playing a half and then they're done.
Yeah.
I'm
going to say obviously it was a frustrating game, but we can sort of look at the performances. The next one's going to be. I don't know if you had the misfortune of looking at like Twitter and stuff after the game.
No.
Can you believe that Spurs fans had the cheek to be annoyed at that referee? Now, at the end of the game, he gave us a throw-in that we took a long throw from that was definitely Spurs' throw. He then gave us a corner that was never a corner in a million years. Right at the end, if we'd have scored for them, they would have had the right to be annoyed. Those were really bad decisions. We were 80 yards away and were laughing at how bad those decisions were. However, the game as a whole, holy shit, that was a bad refereeing performance.
Yeah, the first, I'd probably say 20 minutes to half hour, there seems to be quite a few things that he was determined to let go to allow play to flow.
Yeah.
And then at some point, he just went, actually,
I'm going to give everything in the world.
I'm just going to give all the free kicks. There's some really soft things in there, and I know it's a return to the Premier League, and it's kind of like those FA Cup games when we'd been in like League One and the Championship, and you play a Premier League team, and you're like, oh yeah, these are the free kicks that don't get given in our divisions.
Yeah. That Stack one was the worst one when he won the ball really high up the pitch, and we had a 2-on-2.
It was a really good tackle.
Yeah, it just wasn't even nearly a foul, and he gave it, and that was. Like, you can always tell the bad ones when everyone goes mental. It was the same with that corner he gave us at the end, where like 7 Spurs players were like heading their hands, going, "What are you doing?" Like, it was just a terrible, terrible referee. But it was Thomas Bramall. Now, if I remember rightly, wasn't he the one that Farker got in trouble for talking about last season?
Oh, I don't remember.
Can you remember? He said like 3 times we've had this referee, and 3 times something like this has happened, where we kept getting them goals disallowed that were fine and stuff like that.
Yeah.
I'm fairly sure that was Thomas Bramall. Because I think in the press conference after, like, that's why Farker just said, "I'm not going to talk about it."
Yeah.
Yeah. But I suppose with us, we're at the second. I cannot believe how many international breaks there are, because there's another one, like 3rd week in November.
Sorry, the fact he's called Thomas Bramall and he is from Sheffield.
Yeah.
That's not right.
That boy ain't right. What would you give us sort of out of 10 up to this point?
I'm gonna give us a 6, which I think probably seems a little bit harsh with how we've played the last 3 games. But I think the opening with the Arsenal game that I thought we just, outside of sort of the first 20 minutes, we just poorly managed, and then the who else did we? There was Everton on the opening day, and then who else? What was the other game we played?
Well, there's Fulham where we got beaten the last.
There's Fulham as well, where the lack of chances or quality chances we created was a concern as well, and kind of dropping points late on in that one, and yeah, so I think they kind of bring it down a little bit. So I mean, I'm ultimately still positive, but we are still in that ballpark of relegation teams.
Yeah, I'm slightly having you. I was thinking 7, but it is one of them where it could. So you just take a couple of chances, don't make a couple of silly mistakes, and it's 10.
Yeah, like if we just need to be a couple of positions higher, and it's been a brilliant start to the season. Like we don't even need to be Sunderland. We just need to be. If we were like 11th, I think we'd all be thrilled.
If you get a point against Spurs, which we deserved, if you don't throw it away against Bournemouth, that's 2 more, and if you don't throw one in at the end against Fulham,
yeah,
like that puts you on 12 points. You're level with Palace.
Yeah.
It is just but those are the things. That's the difference between the teams that stay in the Premier League every year and the teams that do well, and the teams that are down there. Is that ability to see out games, that ability to not make little mistakes. But like based on the performances of I've now at certain points seen every team playing the Premier League. Right now, I do not think we're one of the worst 3 teams in the league. But if we don't start taking these chances, that might not matter. I honestly think, I know it's so early in the season to be saying it, but that Burnley West Ham week.
Yeah,
I think it's not season defining, but it will go a long way to, because as if obviously you win them both and you feel like you're flying, but if we get 4 points from them, you'll feel miles better.
Yeah, I mean,
but if you fuck them up and you get beaten both of those games, all of a sudden, we get beaten both of those games. Everyone right now is going, Farke is doing a good job, and he is. And we're playing well, and we've adapted in a way that I didn't necessarily think Farke would be able to. And everyone's but we fuck up and lose those 2 games, and people want him sacked.
Yeah.
And depending on the manner of those defeats, it might not even be unreasonable. That's how quick things can change. So I think that's a huge week.
The other thing is that you kind of look around here. Obviously, like you say, we're 15, level on points with Fulham, and a point behind Villa, Brighton, and Newcastle.
Yeah.
2 points off 10th.
Yeah, I mean, it's obviously it's too early to properly worry about it, but you do have to look at the teams around you.
I mean, one of the good things, as you say, you kind of go through the start we've had. We've played 3 of the top 4 at the moment, and I know we're 7 games in, but Bournemouth 14 points, Spurs 14 points, Arsenal 16 points, and we've played Everton, who are 11th.
Yeah, we did say Everton. That Everton win on the opening day is looking like a better and better result every game they play.
Yeah, like they seem to have kind of settled in and found their formation and their best lineup now.
Yeah.
So we have played some decent teams in there. It's like you say that we now have to do what we've done in these last few games and get the wins against the teams you should beat. And if you can, like you say, if you can get 6 points from that, fuck it, we're in Europe then, basically. So season sorted. But you've got to win those games and get get scraps from some of the bigger games, and I think we've done that for the most part these last few games. We've already beaten one of the teams we should beat, and we did it pretty convincingly as well.
Yeah.
Let's go do that to Burnley.
Yeah, because we'll feel miles better if that happens. Yeah, I think that will do us, because obviously it's international break. England play Wales on Thursday. Do you care?
No.
Nah, me neither.
Well, players getting injured aside.
Yeah, can they all just not play? I mean, Dan James won't play. But yeah, we'll just see where we are coming out of the international break. Hopefully we don't get any injuries and stuff. And then we'll be back some point next week to talk about the Burnley game in a bit more detail. Little Danny is top of the predictions because he got a 2-2 draw correct against Bournemouth. There was only Alex that got any points against Spurs because he's the only one that had us losing. But he didn't have the right score. So yeah, he's got the lead. That will do us for episode 329 of the Mighty Whites podcast. I've been Jack. See you.